Good morning, everyone. This is American ISIS. This is Big Les. And today I'm going to define what American ISIS is. American ISIS stands for the Internal Social Ilmatic Sound Off. The Internal Social Ilmatic Sound Off. I call this movement the American ISIS because any movement by the poor against the rich for equality is redeemed as an act of terrorism. Soon as the fed up poor take a soapbox stand and demand our employees of Washington, D.C. and the state governments do what needs to be done in our interest. Economic first responders, educational first responders, and the truth. If we don't get these immediately, then we'll do it ourselves and we won't have any use for you. So in the words of your Commander McCheese, you're fired. The acts of American ISIS. What are we trying to accomplish? Well, number one is to educate our people, the poor, on what we're doing with our hard-earned money, what state and federal governments is doing with our money, our taxpayer money, who's causing us grief, and who's benefiting off that grief. Number two, how do we fight those doing us harm and trying to kill us? How do we protect our children and our future? How do we get rid of you without you profiting a golden umbrella of our money and destroying what we built for equality? Do you get some of those things? I'm going to break it down. Tax money is what we give the state and federal governments to run our programs. Programs like Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, Social Security benefits, First Start program for children, baby formula and food, WIC, these things. And they don't have the right to cut these programs that we are funding. We fund these programs. And they want to cut it and use the money to go towards something of their agenda. You don't have a right to do that. You didn't ask. You didn't ask. If I was on a job and I stopped working to go get a drink and grab myself a sandwich or a burrito, well, the first thing the manager do is come over and say, "What are you doing?" Like, "I'm taking a break." Did you ask? No. Did you ask for those chicken McNuggets? No. Did you ask for that burger? No. Okay. Well, guess what? You're suspended, clock out, and go home. Either that or they fire you on the spot. Just like Governor Deal said when he was asked about cheap labor in Georgia. Well, this is a will-to-work state. This is what he said, and that's the reasons why we have cheap labor in Georgia. You have a will to work. If you don't want to work underneath these circumstances, then quit. Goodbye. Go. And, excuse me, they have a right to fire you without telling you why they fired you. We have that same right with the politicians and the policymakers and the councils. If you don't do what we say, excuse me, if you don't do what we say, you're fired. Period. Out. We need to act on this. And this is what American ISIS does. What we do is we find out what they're doing, like putting high fructose corn syrup in almost every product on the shelf and giving it to us knowing that it leads to diabetes and cancer. It makes you fat. But they sneak it into everything. They sneak it. Why is sugar in ketchup? I don't get that. They, like I saw a report yesterday, these companies and corporations found out that putting sugar in everything gives it a special taste, and it gives it a special taste that reacts in your brain and makes you want more. Remember the Pringles commercial? You can't eat just one, or the Lay's potato chips. You can't eat just one. Yeah, Pringles was once you pop, you can't stop. Well, same thing. Let me go over here to number 3. Terrorist acts. For what? What can we do and why? If you ever read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, he'll say chapters 1 and 2 is cut off communications and cut off poison the water supply. Poison the water in the well and kill an entire village. You've already done that. Flint, Michigan, water supply. Bottled water made from crude oil, plastic. Yeah, the damages it had done. All the terrorist acts have been homegrown terrorists, from that nut down there in Waco, Texas, to Timothy McVeigh, postal worker shootings, college campus shootings, high school shootings, military base shootings, movie theater shootings, church shootings, DC sniper. I mean, really? And then you want to talk about economics to cut off the funding for a war? You just had 2 hurricanes and you're about to have 2 more. You're already asking for $20 billion in cleanup. Yesterday, you asked for $700 billion for military surplus. Oh, you got sinkholes. California's on fire. And at the same time, a 7-year drought. A 10-year drought in Texas. Why would somebody want to blow this up? You've already lost billions of dollars in crops because of your immigration law that sent Mexican labor backpacking. And the food is just sitting into the aisles rotten because Americans will not pick that stuff in 100-degree heat. You have a lot of people who won't even pick it out the refrigerator. So American ISIS is not a terrorist act. There's nothing to terrorize. You done did it already. And now you're threatening, now your Commander McCheese is threatening nuclear annihilation of North Korea and South Korea fallout, and radiational fallout in water and food supply, which will destroy the entire world's economic system. You got your terrorists. They're up there in Washington, D.C. right now. Okay, well, again, American ISIS is called the Internal Social Ilmatic Sound Off. And what that means is it's a social network that's internal in America's heartland. And we don't have a media coverage, so we're sounding it off. And we're Illmatic. I got that from Nas. That's my man. All right, this is American ISIS again. This is Big Les. And if you want, keep tuning in because I got more stuff for you. Y'all have a good day.